What's the most awkward favor someone has ever called in? I still can't believe my brother asked me to do this. My brother called in a favor that was so awkward, I almost changed my name and moved to another country. He had been holding it over my head for 3 years, and when he finally cashed it in, I understood why he waited so long. Back in college, I was failing organic chemistry, and I needed to pass to keep my scholarship. My brother Keith was 2 years ahead of me and had taken the same class. He still had all his old exams and study guides. I begged him to let me use them. He said he would, but only if I agreed to owe him one favor, any favor. No questions asked, no backing out. I was desperate, so I agreed. I passed the class. I kept my scholarship. And for 3 years, Keith never mentioned the favor. Then he called me on a random Tuesday night. "I'm cashing in the favor," he said. "This Saturday. Clear your schedule." I showed up at his apartment on Saturday with no idea what I was walking into. Keith answered the door wearing a suit. He looked nervous, which was unusual for him. "Okay, here's the situation," he said. "I've been dating someone for 6 months. Her name is Angela. She's amazing. I think she might be the one. The problem is, I told her a lie when we first started dating, and now I need you to help me cover it up." I asked what lie he told. He took a deep breath. "I told her I was a twin." I stared at him. "We are not twins. Keith is 2 years older than me. We don't even look that similar. He's 6'2" with dark hair. I'm 5'9" with lighter hair and a completely different face." "Why would you tell her that?" I asked. He said on their first date, Angela mentioned that she had always wanted to date a twin, something about it being on her bucket list. Keith immediately said he was a twin. He thought it would impress her. He didn't think they would actually end up in a serious relationship, but now they were serious. And Angela kept asking when she was going to meet his twin brother. Keith had been making excuses for 6 months. His twin lived abroad. His twin was busy with work, but Angela was getting suspicious. So Keith came up with a plan. He was going to introduce me as his twin. We would spend one dinner together, convince Angela, and then his fake twin brother would move to Japan for work and never be heard from again. "This is insane," I said. "She's going to know we're not twins." Keith pulled out a box. Inside was a wig, colored contacts, and a fake mole. He wanted me to wear a disguise so I would look more like him. I told him absolutely not. He reminded me of the favor. No questions. No backing out. I put on the disguise. The wig was dark and styled exactly like Keith's hair. The contacts made my eyes brown instead of blue. The fake mole went on my left cheek, matching the real one on Keith's right cheek. When I looked in the mirror, I still didn't look like his twin. I looked like myself wearing a bad costume, but Keith insisted it would work in dim lighting. We went to a restaurant that Keith had chosen because it was dark. Angela was already there. She stood up and hugged Keith, then turned to me with the biggest smile. "Oh my gosh, you must be Kyle," she said, using the fake name Keith had given his imaginary twin. "I've heard so much about you." I shook her hand and tried to lower my voice. "Nice to meet you too. Keith talks about you all the time." The dinner was 2 hours of pure torture. Angela kept asking me questions about growing up as a twin. She wanted to know if we had twin telepathy. She wanted to know if we ever switched places. I made up answers while Keith kicked me under the table every time I contradicted his previous lies. At one point, Angela asked to see baby photos of us together. Keith said all their baby photos were destroyed in a flood. Angela looked suspicious. Then she asked why we looked so different in height. Keith said I had a growth disorder as a child. Angela looked even more suspicious. The night was going terribly. I was sweating through my shirt. The wig was starting to itch. The fake mole was sliding down my face. Then Angela excused herself to go to the bathroom. The second she was gone, I told Keith this was a disaster. He needed to come clean. Keith shook his head. He said he couldn't lose her over something this stupid. When Angela came back, she sat down and looked at both of us carefully. Then she started laughing. "Keith," she said, "I've known this wasn't your twin since the moment I walked in." Keith went pale. Angela explained that she had done a background check on Keith after their third date. She knew he didn't have a twin. She knew he had a younger brother. She had been waiting for 6 months to see how far he would take the lie. I ripped off the wig, and the fake mole fell into my soup. Keith started apologizing. Angela just kept laughing. She said she didn't care about the twin thing. She thought it was ridiculous that he kept it going for so long. She said the fact that he convinced his own brother to wear a disguise was the funniest thing she had ever seen. They got married last year. I was the best man. In my speech, I told the whole story. Angela's family couldn't stop laughing. Keith still owes me a favor. I'm saving it for something good.